Good afternoon, students. Hope you people are enjoying our classes in business economics. Right from the very beginning, our motto is to make you aware about the different concepts that is essential for building the foundation in economics. So we are trying to teach you in as simple way as possible so that students from diverse background can understand it easily. Side by side, we are giving live examples so that you can also correlate the concepts in day-to-day lives also, because all these demand, supply, elasticity concepts are interrelated and throughout used in the study of economics. So that is why we are building from the very beginning all the concepts, because that is very important. And initially, I had told you that right from the very beginning, start reading the course module very thoroughly, because that is very important, because questions are from the study material only. And since you have understood the concept in the class, so definitely it will be easy for you to understand the concepts. Now, one thing, too much research into a particular topic at this stage. The thing is, you need to have a basic understanding of the subject, because sometimes we are getting some questions which is not required at the foundation stage. So definitely when you have a better learning or understanding of the subject, you can easily understand that particular concepts. So right now, focus on what is being taught in the class, what are assignment that is been given here, and gradually you will feel better in understanding the concept also. Apart from this, solving the numericals or any sort of conceptual papers that has been coming your way. So over to you, ma'am, for taking this session forward.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. So to go ahead, as sir has shared, you always have to refer to your study material, because whatever concepts we are sharing, that is already there in your study material. And once we proceed further for the next topic, as we are proceeding towards the next topic, we should always revise what has been discussed in the class. And apart from that, what is there in your study material, so that you get easily the next concept, which is we are going to share. As sir has shared, it is all interconnected. There's a correlation between the concepts. Okay. So you remember the very first class when we started, we said that we had discussed about a firm. And for a firm, any business unit, what is most important thing is that their consumers or their customers. And these customers, what do? They create demand. And for demand, we have taken care about how you, as a person of economics, should differentiate demand with respect to any other player in the market who talks about demand. So what are the three components of demand we had shared? That you have to have desire, that I want to have this product or I want to buy this. Okay. Second is about that you should have paying capacity, that yes, I can buy this product maybe through credit or through cash. And the third component, which is a very important, is that from your income, you are able to spend that much quantity of money for buying that product. So all these three features, if you have, then only it becomes demand. So we have shared elasticity of demand in the last class, and you know elasticity of demand is very, very important concept, because that helps companies and organizations to decide about who are their consumers, what price they should offer them product, how should they go for promoting their product, because consumers are price elastic, or who is our competitor in the market. So we have discussed about cross price elasticity. Then should they go for advertisement or not? So we had shared advertisement elasticity also. And you may get some numerical based on that concept, because we have discussed the formula and we have done numerical also, and it is there in your course module. And I have also shared some application-based questions in your portal, okay, to your portal where you can go through. Today, we are going to talk more into detail about consumer, because consumer is the most important, because consumer creates demand and demand creates supply. If there's no demand, production won't happen. No, nobody is going to produce that. So that's very important. So today we'll talk about consumer behavior. Consumer behavior is how consumer responds. What is the difference between want? What is the nature of want? What is the degree of want? And why we say this is very important for a business, and why should we study this in business economics? Okay, so we'll be talking about, and what is the theory given by economists for consumer behavior. So the flow of the presentation or today's class will be that what exactly is utility? Is utility the same what people think about, or how economics they differentiate the concept of utility? Then how consumers they try to maximize their satisfaction. So you also are consumer, I'm also a consumer. How do we decide about that we have to buy this good or service? How do we decide about that this will give me satisfaction, isn't it? So you buy the product when you decide about that, yes, this will make me happy, or this will give me some basic satisfaction, so I should buy that. And you have different goods, then you have to decide about this is the product I should buy. So when you go for shopping, any product in the market, let's say you want to buy a shirt for yourself or a kurta for yourself, then how to decide? You go to 5 shops, you see 5 different kurtas, you see price is a little bit different for each kurta, and on the basis of that, then you decide the color is good, the stuff is good, the quality is good, and this matches up with my amount which I want to pay for that. And then you decide about, okay, fine, let me buy this kurta or shirt, whatever it is. So you make a choice between different goods based on your level of satisfaction or the utility you derive. Then why it happens that when you have something repeatedly, when you're consuming something, the same product. So if you go to same restaurant and every time you go for buying, ordering dosa, every time you go for buying masala dosa, and in a day, somebody is offering you for the second time also you go for dosa. You may like dosa very much, but when somebody is offering you repeatedly in the same during the same day, you will say no, 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 I don't want to have, because what will happen? You will not be enjoying after 1 or 2 dosas, isn't it? So same happens with golgappas also. You have seen golgappas, you can have more in number as compared to dosas, because golgappas, you can have 5, 10 in number in one go. Somebody who likes golgappas can have 10 golgappas and 12 golgappas. Whatever may be the your preference for golgappas, beyond the point, you'll say, no, 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 enough of it. I don't want to have. Okay, so that's the concept of diminishing marginal utility, which we'll be sharing. And what exactly is marginal utility? I tell you, marginal utility is a magical concept. So once we'll share, things will become more easy for you. What is marginal utility? Then, what is consumer surplus? Why some people are ready to pay high price, and why some people are ready to pay less price? How companies they decide about the price, and why consumer surplus plays an important role for companies also, for individuals also, that while making decisions to buy or to produce. Then describe the meaning of indifference curve. Can satisfaction be measured? If not, then what to do? How to utility can be measured. It is a subjective concept. So how will we measure it? What is the price line? Is income of a consumer constraint for a consumer to decide about? So you have a limited income and you have to get 2 products with different pricing. So how will you decide about, I have 100 rupees, you get 100 rupees. You want to buy burger also, you want to buy Coke also. So then you have to decide about that. It's what is the price of Coke? What is the price of burger? How much pocket money do I have? Will I be able to buy both? If I'm able to buy both, should I go for sharing it with my friend so that we two can pool money and then go for buying it? So all these things we'll be sharing here. At what point you will be happy by buying a product? Okay, so this is what. So first and the foremost, what drives demand? What drives demand? You have to have want, no? You have to have want. I want to buy this. I want to consume this. So first is want. So want is very, very important. And what is the nature of human want? Human want is about, we all are human beings. Each human being is different from the other. Each human being has been brought up in different culture and society. Each human being has a different thought process. Each human being gets different perspective, has different perspective on different products and services, isn't it? So आपका सबका perspective अलग अलग होगा एक product के लिए. So किसी को burger बहुत अच्छा लगेगा. Somebody will say, no, no, I don't like burger. Somebody will say that I like burger in the morning. I can't have it in the evening. So each one has a different uh, acceptance to the product. That's about all bonds of human beings have unique characteristic or differentiated characteristics. So bonds are unlimited for all of us. आप सब चाहते हैं कि मुझे ये भी मिल जाए, वो भी मिल जाए. Everything you want, isn't it? And all wants cannot be satisfied. So what do? In that case, since your income is a constraint, your resources are constrained, maybe time is a constraint, you want to go for shopping and you have gone at 5 o'clock in the evening. And by the time 9 o'clock, shops will get closed. So the time is limited and you want to buy everything from the shop, all the shops which are there. You want to visit every shop. So what you have to do, your wants are unlimited, but your resources are limited. So within the given resources limitations, you have to decide about, you have to prioritize about, should I go for this shop first or should I go for this product first, respectively? Because all wants of yours cannot be satisfied. Okay, why so? Because you have some limitations. Limitations may be income limitations, maybe any other limitation which you have, which makes you not having access to all the or to fulfill all your wants. Okay, then want degree, it varies, intensity varies. Okay, some wants are urgent, some wants are less urgent, or you do not feel like that. For example, somebody who didn't have food since morning and somebody had a heavy breakfast. So that the one who didn't eat food since morning, जिसने सुबह से कुछ नहीं खाया और जिसने heavy breakfast लिया, दोनों के demand में और want में that will vary, isn't it? So the one who's hungry since morning or didn't eat anything, what will be the intensity of having food will be very high. And the one who had heavy breakfast and will be offered to have something will have low intensity. Okay, somebody who belongs to middle income group and is always in a habit of having rasgulla after dinners. Okay, after having food and lunch or dinner, you want to have something sweet and you have access to rasgulla or some mithai or whatever the sweets. But a poor person who cannot afford to have basic food and you offer that person rasgulla, then what will be the intensity of that? Very high, isn't it? And for you, it will be less because you are used to that. You're getting regular basis. But this person doesn't have, is deprived of that. Okay, so wants differ in intensity for each one. During COVID, vaccination was urgent. So the intensity was very high. Urgency was very high for all people. Those who were suffering, for them, it was very important to see that others should in the family should not suffer. Okay, then utility. So utility depends on what? So the person who didn't eat food since morning, his or her utility will be very high because that person wants to have food. So intensity of want defines utility. If intensity is minor, अगर आपकी intensity to buy a product is very low, zeal आपकी low है, then in that case it won't be utility, isn't it? So this intensity of want decides that you have utility for the product or not. So for example, I say a poor person, and poor person you offer that uh, the person who doesn't who has no food since morning, and you say that I'll make you sit in my car and make you visit Delhi. So what the person will say? That no, for me food is more important than roaming around the car. So what is the intensity of roaming around the car for this person? Is very low, very low. That is why this person is not deriving utility by roaming around the car, is deriving more utility by having a food because the intensity of want is very high, isn't it? So this is how utility depends on. Utility is important, and how utility can get converted, your want can get converted into want. Okay, so in general, utility is satisfaction. You get satisfaction only when you have a high intensity of want. If you do not have high intensity of want, then how will you be satisfied? So how will you be happy, isn't it? Contented. Yes, ye mujhe mil gaya. This is what I wanted and I've got this. So in economic sense, utility is want, and it's a want satisfying power of commodity. So you get satisfaction by consuming that good or service. That is utility. You consume that good or service, and that makes you satisfied. That is utility. Okay. So each want is certain. You want to have certain products up to certain extent, or uske baad mein you will feel no, I don't want to have. Okay. Then nature of human wants. So nature of human wants further. अब वॉन्ट्स देखिए आप कितनी तरह से आपको इम्पैक्ट करती है हर एक की वॉन्ट अलग अलग होगी नेचर विल बी डिफरेंट फॉर want for each one of us, isn't it? So want can be competitive. Your wants can be competitive. Competitive means with a limited income or a limited pocket money, you want to fulfill n number of wants, n number of wants. इतनी सारी आपकी ख्वाहिशें हैं, आप सब उसको अचीव करना चाहते हैं, but it's not possible. So unlimited wants you have, and that is why it becomes competitive. What should I do first? What should I buy first? Why should I buy first? Because this will give me satisfaction. This will give me utility. So out of so many products or services, I'll buy this. Unlimited wants leads to competitive nature of human wants. Okay, then complementary. So when you take dosa, with dosa you take what? You take chutney and other things. So some goods you take in complementary. These two goods you cannot take in isolation. One you are taking, other you are not taking. For example, I say that complementary wants is when you buy a mobile, you have to have charger for that mobile. Otherwise, mobile ki kya utility? So that means it is group of goods which you buy. For example, somebody who gets transferred from city A to B, then the person needs what? Person needs not only rentals, house, but also needs some basic furniture and basic infrastructure. So this is about complementary goods. Okay, so group of goods. So when you buy a car, you ensure that you have insurance also, isn't it? So complementary goods or services satisfied in alternative ways. So your wants can get satisfied in alternative ways for different people in different ways at a different point of time. It is subjective. So today morning you were very happy, and that's why when I offered you golgappa or sweets, you enjoyed it because you were very happy, isn't it? Someday you're sad and somebody is offering you sweets, you'll say, no, I don't want to have. You are not going to enjoy it. So it's subjective. It's subjective. You are not enjoying, but I may enjoy. So subjectivity, it is a subjective concept. Something which you like, I may not like it. Something you like the most, I like it least. So it's a subjective concept, utility. And then relative also. Relative is if I like sweets, and somebody offering me today morning is rasgulla, and then I get an option to get Cadbury's or some other sweet which I like the most. So then in that case, rasgulla will become least utility factor for me, and that sweet which I like the most will become of high intensity of want, isn't it? So it's a relative concept. What you like today, you may not like tomorrow. What you like at one point of time, you may not like it. What you like, your friend may not like it. So this is about relative concept and subjective also. What you like most, what you like least is also subjective. How you say that it is, I like this most. You say you like this most comparing other products, isn't it? जब आप कहते हैं कि मुझे ये चीज सबसे अच्छी लगती है, तो आप बाकी चीजों से कंपेयर करते हैं उसको. So it is a relative concept. It varies with time and place and person. I've already shared that at a particular period of time, at one point of time, you may like something. Other point of time, you may not like it. If you're in India, you may like the same product, but when you go to US and other, you may not like that product. Okay, so it makes difference in terms of time also, place and also, and person also. It varies from person to person. It wants varies from person to person. It varies from time to time. It varies from place to place. So you can understand how challenging it is for the corporate people to decide about that what product we should offer at what point of time. So ये बहुत important है to firms to understand this. that which product to be offered at which point of time for them. Then some are recurring, some are not. What are recurring? Recurring is what are recurring? So if you have to go to, for example, you go to, God forbid, if I have to go to the hospital, that's not recurring. No, today I'm not well, so I have to go to the hospital and I want that best of the doctor should treat me and I should come back duly cured. Recurring is food. Food you want to have daily. Food is something which you want to have daily, recurring. Clothes are not recurring. So clothes you may have once in a week. You can buy once in a week. You may buy once in a month, depending upon कि आप कितना एक्सपेंसिव हैं आप लोग कितना आप you are prone to spending जो जितना ज्यादा spend करेगा उतना ज्यादा वो frequency उसकी होगी to buy clothes and other things. Okay, so food products, necessity goods are more recurring in nature, but something comfortable goods which makes your life more comfortable will not be so recurring in nature. Habits and customs. So some people want to have rice, and that makes them to someone cannot get up in the morning and get charged unless they have a cup of coffee. Habits. Customs are like when it is your family members have some rituals and you practice that, and that makes you to buy. So when Diwali is there, people want to buy new clothes. It's a custom. It is how the social custom has been practiced. So you want to buy new clothes so that on during puja you can wear this. Similarly, people buy on Eid new clothes and do shopping. So this is how. So customs make your want with high intensity. It can make it on a low intensity. If it is on a high intensity, then you say that it will convert into utility. Otherwise, and utility will be definitely demand for the good. Otherwise, it won't be. Okay. Apart from that, we had shared demand. Demand is a function of price. We have shared determinants of demand. So demand is a function of price, the good, income of the consumer, taste and preference, fashion. Fashion is also taste and preference, which advertisement, how the good is promoted, service is promoted, social norms. Society आपको उस product को use करने के लिए accept करती है या नहीं करती, or society promotes that product you to use more and. So some people say that you should wear Rudraksh. It makes you feel cool and other factors and others. So some people put Chandan. Some people look for wearing bright colors. So this is how. So different people, some people feel do not want to wear black clothes. Some want to wear black clothes. Some want to wear white clothes. Some do not want to wear white clothes. Social norms. What is accepted in society? You want to, today people say do not eat junk food. So if society is promoting not to eat junk food, then in that case you will be less inclined because you'll become fat, you'll become lethargic, you will have BP, you will have so many problems. So society says, but at the same time, when you see those advertisements, it may incline you to buy a product. So these are different factors which make huge impact on your want and its intensity. Income of yours, taste and preference, how is it changing? What is the current trend in the market? Fashion, that also make difference. Then physical and psychological instinct. Psychological instinct also that I should eat more vegetarian because this will help nature to be protected. That's my perception. If that is my perception, I'll have more. So that is my thought process, which makes me think like that. Psychologically, I think that way. And physical is that physical is something like I want to wear during summers cotton clothes. So it makes me a little bit cool for wearing those cotton clothes because I can't wear silk during summers. Because if I'll wear silk during summers, I'll sweat and I may have allergy that case. So it's about physical instinct which makes you decide about that I want to have this. When it is very hot weather, then you feel like having chilled water or something chill. Yes, so physical requirement in hot weather, and otherwise in cold, you want to have something hot, soup or something. So this is how these are nature of one. You see how complicated it is, how difficult it is. Then Why we are studying about want? Because want leads to utility. Utility is, you derive utility means you'll buy the product. Once you buy the product, am I not audible? So when you buy the product, then you derive utility. Okay. So what is utility? Utility is, it's what is important for you to understand. Two important concepts हैं in demand. One is total and second is marginal. Utility, you know, is very, very important. Utility is satisfaction. एक जो satisfaction आपको मिलता है to buy a good or service. So that is utility. Now, utility, when you start consuming first unit of any product. Okay, so you had first ice cream, one cup of ice cream, then you had a second cup of ice cream, then you had a third cup of ice cream, then you had a fourth cup of ice cream. Okay, so you like chocolate ice cream. So you can have 4 cups of ice cream, one after the other. Okay, so if you have 4 cups of ice cream, so let's say from the first cup of the ice cream, you get utility worth rupees, worth let's say 40. Okay, worth 40. So you will go for first unit. Then second will give you 40 again. Okay, third will give you maybe 20 because you are contented now. And fourth will give you maybe 10. So what is total utility? Total utility here is 40. Here it is 40 plus 40, 80. 80 plus 20 is 100. 100 plus 10 is 110. What will be marginal difference of this? 40 minus 0 is 40 for the first one. Second one is 80 minus 40 is 40. Then 100 minus 80 minus, so this is how it goes. 40 minus 20 is 20. So it will be 20. And this is about 20 minus 110 minus 100 is 100 minus 80 is 20. And 110 minus 100 is 10. You get the same figures here, you see. This is marginal utility. So how do we get marginal utility? First and the foremost, marginal utility is the sum. You get marginal utility by each additional unit of good consumed. जैसे जैसे आप गुड कंज्यूम करते जा रहे हैं हर एडिशनल यूनिट का, उससे आपको कुछ लेवल ऑफ सेटिस्फैक्शन मिलता है. यू डिराइव यूटिलिटी, दैट इज नोन एज मार्जिनल. ओके, एंड व्हेन यू गो फॉर कंज्यूमिंग सक्सेसिव यूनिट्स, जैसे जैसे आप उस गुड को कंज्यूम करते जाते हैं वैसे वैसे यूटिलिटी उससे बढ़ती जाती है टू सम एक्सटेंट. सो you sum it up, that gives you total. It's simple like maths, you understand, simple. Suppose marginal sum is total. Okay, marginal sum is total. How come? For example, आप स्कूल में पढ़े हैं सब लोग. So class 12th के exams. Okay, 12th में you had unit test. So in unit test you got, let's say, 20 marks. Okay, in first unit test. And then second unit test you got 25 marks out of 30 if we are talking about. Third unit test you got 28 marks. So what will be your total marks? Total marks after two unit tests will be 20 plus 25, that is 45. What will be the total marks after 3 unit tests? 45 plus 28, that is 5 to 10, and this is 13, 50, this is 60, 73. So you have 73 total utility. So what is total utility? Total utility is a sum of marginal utility. What is marginal utility? Utility derived from each additional unit of the good consumed. So if you are having 1 unit of the good, what is the utility you are going to derive? When you have the same good at the same period of time. Okay, at the same period of time, then you get what? Next additional marginal utility. And when you sum it up, that gives you the total utility. अभी हम एग्जाम्पल शेयर करेंगे, आपको इजीली समझ में आ जाएगा. Otherwise, you can connect with golgappas, जो आपने class 12th में भी पढ़ा होगा, I hope so. So each golgappa, as you keep on eating more, you like golgappas first and the foremost, because you have intense want for that. आपको अच्छा लगता है इसीलिए तो आप खाओगे. Otherwise, why will you eat? So intense want. This intensity of the want makes you convert this golgappa into utility. Utility will make you eat golgappa. If you eat first golgappa, you derive, let's say, some utility that is 40 units. आपको worth 40 rupees के लगता है पहला गोलगप्पा. दूसरा गोलगप्पा आपने खाया, that also makes you feel like 40. But when you go for consuming more and more golgappas, what happens? हर गोलगप्पे की वैल्यू आपके लिए कम होती जाती है, because you become more satisfied. Satiable is more satisfied. Okay, so get satisfied, and once you get satisfied, then you will be ready to pay less and less price, isn't it? So this is how it works. Now, before we talk about marginal and total, let's talk about कि बॉन्ड को क्लासिफाई कैसे कर सकते हो आप. यस, जो आपने क्लास 12th में डिमिनिशिंग मार्जिनल पढ़ा था, जिन्होंने पढ़ा था गुड फॉर देम, बट दोज हु हैव नॉट स्टडीड हम शेयर करेंगे. ओके, हाउ कैन वी मेजर यूटिलिटी? प्रणव, वेरी गुड क्वेश्चन. हाउ कैन वी मेजर यूटिलिटी? अब यूटिलिटी तो आप मेजर कर नहीं सकते, बिकॉज satisfaction is something we have shared, that is want, which is subjective and relative. आपके लिए कुछ satisfaction होगा, मेरे लिए कुछ और होगा, isn't it? So to utility to be measured is very difficult. How do we measure? If I say that for one golgappa, I'm ready to pay 10 rupees. Matlab, I'm deriving 10 utils. Okay, so this is how we go for it. We fix up some unit. हम utility को measure करते हैं in terms of preference. If I like golgappa over sandwich, that means golgappa derives more utility for me than sandwich. If I like cake over pastries, that means cake derive more utility for me than pastry. So we always go for giving preference order. And that helps us to understand that what is deriving more utility and what is deriving less utility. So quantity wise आप measure नहीं कर सकते utility इतनी numbers, but you can always measure in terms of satisfaction, that I am satisfied more with this and I am satisfied less with this. आगे हम देखेंगे आप कैसे measure कर सकते हैं utility को with some economic concept. Okay, so when we talk about wants, हमने wants पे, why we are emphasizing so much on wants, हम इतना ज्यादा importance क्यों दे रहे हैं wants को? Because ये जो wants है ये utility में convert होती है, and this utility converts into demand, and this demand creates business for firms. आपकी want यूटिलिटी में कन्वर्ट होती है, यूटिलिटी डिमांड में कन्वर्ट होती है, डिमांड कंपनी के लिए बिजनेस जनरेट करती है, उससे उनको प्रॉफिट अर्न होता है. So this is how it goes. Okay, so that's why we are sharing wants. So classification of wants. So wants we have shared other features, but now how to classify wants? Wants can be of three categories for any one of us. Any one of us, three categories. One is necessities. Necessities are this is basic necessity, like food is basic necessity. You want to have food. आप बाकी चीजों के बिना, water, this is something basic necessity. आप उसके बिना survive नहीं कर सकते. You will not be able to survive. During COVID, getting oxygen cylinder was necessity. जिनको नहीं मिलेगा, they were exposed to threat in terms of losing life, isn't it? So वो necessity होगी. So इसीलिए हमने बोला है कि necessity is also, want also is subjective and relative. COVID में vaccination and those who were suffering, oxygen cylinders were necessity. It was a matter of life and existence. Some poor people, for them, life, what food is very important. They cannot have food, they will not sustain. Some people, it's very important to have water because they are deprived of getting water and they may get dehydrated or हो सकता है उनको complications हो जाए. Okay, so necessities are something which is important. For example, somebody suffering from some disease, diabetic patient, उनके लिए insulin very important, necessity है, because it's a matter of life. Okay, so it's not like that necessities are only for poor people or somebody. Necessities are always there for all of us at one point of time or other. Okay? So life or existence is the products which are important for life or existence ke liye, these are necessities. Apart from that, you can go for conventional necessities. So you have two categories of necessities. One are for life and existence, other is conventional necessities. Conventional necessities are that today's concept is that service class people say our kids should go to school. or people believe today that हमारे बच्चे स्कूल में जरूर जाएं. Compelling social customs, making you to go to school, learn something. So this is what is necessity. So conventional necessity is what is as per the norms, as per the society. If you are not educated, if you are not like well versed, then in that case, आप कुछ भी नहीं हो. So it's very important. So social customs makes you go for basic necessities. Okay. So compelling social customs, which makes you, for example, people getting married and they have to have some basic dress and others, isn't it? So basic social norms set. When you have some festivity, where some festivals are there, or when there's some occasion, then you have to dress up with good clothes. Or or for example, when any festival is there, then you have to wear new clothes. So social customs and others, which makes you to go for buying that product. That is also necessity. कि आज आपके घर में festival है, तो you have to wear something new. It's necessity. Because otherwise people will say on festival also you have something, old clothes or something. So it's not auspicious. So that's about conventional. Compelling factors होते हैं, social customs, which makes you to go for that. These are, so necessities can be of two categories. One are basic for existence. जिसके बिना आप survive नहीं कर सकते. And other is that which is light है, electricity है, it's very hot. So basic light होना जरूरी है, fan होना जरूरी है. It's basic necessity. Okay, somebody suffering during flood, उनके लिए accessibility to boat and to reach to the right place to get shelter is very important. So this is how, so that is life. And compelling social customs, आप लोगों के लिए सबसे important social customs relate to education. Each one of us want to be educated because educated families, education में ये believe करते हैं कि schooling तो होना ही चाहिए basic. So that's a compelling social customs. Somebody from a sports family will be bound to go for learning sports. Yes, so necessities. Comforts like mobile, you can say today is necessity, isn't it? Mobile is necessity. But having mobile phone, which is of 30,000, 50,000, 80,000, 90,000, 1 lakh, and so, is comfort. Having cooler, having fan is necessity, but having cooler, having AC is comfort. Okay, so buying car today, people may say it is necessity because हमारे पास कोई mode of commuting नहीं है, so we have to buy a car. So that may they may say it is necessity, but buying big cars, premium cars is comfort. So comforts are something which can make your life more easy, which are which you have already satisfied your want, but you want to make your life more comfortable and easy. So these are comforts. Okay. So comfort is that you study from your laptop, comfortable, rather than going to the classroom. So that's comfort. Okay. Then luxurious. Luxurious is about what? Luxurious is something superfluous. You want to show it to others. You want a lifestyle which makes people also to understand that हमारे पास बहुत पैसा है and we have all the luxurious products. And that's why you buy something. Or you sometimes buy by thinking about, we had shared snob effect and bandwagon effect, you remember? So people buy something that मेरा एक status है. I have some people know me in the market कि मैं हमेशा महंगी चीजें लेती हूँ. So expensive, luxurious and expensive, which is not required, but still you go for it. So certain people buy expensive products for just, some people buy very expensive perfumes and others. Not required, but still they buy because they want to lead such kind of a lifestyle. So luxurious products are not of necessity, but still people spend on that. Okay. So classification of wants, what we have shared is that the classification of necessities, comforts and luxurious is not a rigid. Rigid means, समझते हो आप कि ऐसा नहीं है कि ये necessity आज necessity है तो कल भी necessity रहेगी और मेरे लिए necessity है तो आपके लिए भी necessity रहेगी. So it's not a rigid thing. What is necessity for me maybe comfort for you and maybe luxury for third person. Okay, so it's not rigid thing, which is a comfort or luxury for one person at one point of time may become necessity for another person or at another point of time. Yes. So once upon a time, we used to feel that ACs and coolers are important during the month of May, April, May, June. April, May, June, max to max June. But now, because of the global warming, आप देखते हो कि temperature बढ़ता ही जा रहा है. Then during July and September also people wanted to have cooler and AC. So जो comfort था, that became necessity. That became necessity because of the other external factors or whatever it is about. So you should always be aware that the things which are considered as luxuries in the past have become necessities today. तो telephone पहले luxury होता था. ना 80s में telephone was considered as luxury. Those who had telephone, उनको समझते थे कि ये बहुत rich हैं, इनके पास बहुत पैसा है तभी इनके पास telephone. But today, for you youngsters, telephone is or the mobile is basic necessity. So with time, change in time, the classification of what changes not only for a person, but from one place to the other. Okay, so this is how wants. So एक rigid boundaries नहीं आप बना सकते want की. ये necessity है, ये luxuries हैं, ये comforts हैं. It varies from time to time, person to person, and context also. Context also. क्या context है उसके accordingly चीजें vary करती. Okay. So what is the relationship between TU and MU? We have already shared. बहुत important concept है. This is simple maths. And what is economics in this? Economics in this is utility. But otherwise, if I say marginal and total, maths है. Simple mathematics. Simple mathematics is each successive unit. Each successive unit, if you sum it up, this gives you total. And each successive unit is what? Margin. What is utility? Utility we have shared. When you consume something, when you have a high intensity of want. So this is, let's say these are units, okay? So you go for 0 unit of the good consumed. कुछ भी आप ले लीजिए. If you take गोलगप्पास आपने सबने पढ़ा है ना class 12 में. So I can take गोलगप्पास or I can take somebody who is very thirsty. Okay. जिसके पास बिल्कुल भी एक ड्राई वेदर में है, let's say in a desert, and wants to have a glass of water, chilled glass of water because it's very hot and the person is in desert. एक बंदा फॉरेस्ट में है, डेजर्ट में है और उसके पास and it's बहुत गर्मी है और उसको चाहिए एक ग्लास ठंडा पानी. Okay, so when the person is not having that glass of water, then total utility will be 0 because अभी तो उसने कुछ कंज्यूम ही नहीं किया तो यूटिलिटी उसकी 0 हो गई. ओके, सो जब टोटल यूटिलिटी नहीं है तो मार्जिनल कैसे होगा? बिकॉज मार्जिनल इज एडिशनल. सिंस यू डू नॉट हैव एडिशनल, सो इसलिए टोटल नहीं है. आपने कुछ लिया ही नहीं तो कहां से टोटल होगा? सो यू डू नॉट हैव दी टोटल यूटिलिटी. But if a person is going to have the first glass of water, chilled glass of water, what will happen? The person will feel wow. And we give number to this. We say that 10 utils you have utility you have achieved. Normally utility is measured in terms of utils. Okay. एक नंबर देने के लिए इसको यूटिल्स में मेजर करते हैं. यूटिल मतलब and it is equated with rupees, 1 rupee, 1 unit of. Okay, so if you are getting 10 utility, that means it is worth rupees 10. तभी आपको 10 मिल रहा है. To simplify this, okay, so this is 10. So when you go for 1 unit of good, how much utility you get? You get 10 units, 10 utils. If you get 10 utils, so 0, this is not there. No, you haven't consumed, so इसकी value कुछ नहीं है. So total utility कितनी हो गई? 10. So this is total utility is 10. Now you go for a second unit, second glass of water. If you go for second glass of water and this makes you more contented because आपको बहुत प्यास लग रही थी, आपका एक ग्लास पानी से कुछ नहीं हुआ hot weather में. So जब आपने दूसरा ग्लास पिया पानी का, तो you get how much? Utility is 8. Okay, so you get 8 utility, 8 marginal utility. 10 plus 8 is 18. So this is increasing, so your total utility is increasing. When you get third glass of water, what happens? आपकी यूटिलिटी जो 10 से 8 हो गई, क्योंकि आपकी कुछ तो प्यास बुझ गई. When you go for next utils, when your thirst gets over to some extent, so when you go for third glass of water, what happens? Your utility further goes down from 8 to 5. What is the sum? 10 plus 8 is 18. 18 plus 5 is 23. Then you go for fourth glass of water. When you go for fourth glass of water, अब आपकी you are contented that yes, I don't want to have much water now. I'm satisfied. So what you get? You get 2 utilities. आप देख रहे हो marginal utilities continuously decreasing. Why is it decreasing? Because as you're consuming more, you are getting satisfied. And once you get satisfied, you get less and less utility. So marginal utility is decreasing. So now you have 2. So that means 23 plus 2 is 25. So you get 25. 25 plus 0, because if you go for fifth glass, now आपकी प्यास बिल्कुल बुझ गई है. You are completely satisfied. You're not feeling thirsty. That means if I offer you fifth glass of water, you'll say, no, I don't want to. I don't want to have. Because why? Because your marginal utility is 0. You are not deriving any utility. So 25 plus 0 will be 25. Yes. But if I force you, no, you have to have one more glass of water. You will, if you are going to have it by like to honor my commitment, अगर आप ले लोगे मेरे कहने से, request करने से, so what will happen in that case? Your bladder will be full and you may have stomachache. -2. So marginal utility will become negative because आप already यहाँ पे 0 पे हैं. You are simply contented. आपकी प्यास बुझ चुकी है. And then also I'm offering you another glass of water. What will happen? Your bladder will be full and you will not be able to walk. -2. So 25 minus 2 is 23. So what is your learning? Number 1, as you consume more and more units of good, जैसे आप एक good को एक period of time में consume करते जाते हैं. So what happens because of that? With each additional unit consumed, the utility you derive from each additional unit keeps on decreasing. It keeps on decreasing. Because why it decreases? Because you get satisfied. You get more and more satisfied. Here you are satisfied. Here you get more satisfied. Here you get more satisfied. And that's why here you are completely satisfied. So once you are completely satisfied, beyond that, if somebody will offer you, it will give you negative marginal utility. Okay. So this is the concept of marginal utility. Okay. So एक तो आपको आ सकता है to calculate marginal utility. You may get questions how to calculate marginal utility. Agar if I give you total utility and then I tell you to calculate marginal utility, how will you do? So कैसे करेंगे आप? 10 minus 0 is 10. So first हो गया 10 MU. Okay. Second is 18 minus 10. 18 minus 10 and here it is 2 by 1. So how do we calculate total utility? Total utility, marginal utility, how we calculate marginal utility? Marginal utility is change in total utility with change in or additional unit of good. Okay, change in unit of good consumed. So unit of good consumed. So what's happening here? Additional unit of good consumed. So marginal utility is, first is change in total utility. 10 minus 0 upon 1 minus 0. That is 10 by 1. That is 1. That is 10. So the utility, marginal utility derived by first unit is how much? 10. Second is marginal utility for the second unit is equal to 18 minus 10 upon 2 minus 1. That is 2 minus 1. This is 18 minus 10 is 8. 8 by 1 is 8. So marginal utility of second will be 8. Here you have this 8. Yes. Then next will be 23 minus 18. 23 minus 18 and here it is 3 minus 2 is 1. So 23 minus 18 is how much? 5 divided by 1. You get marginal. And how you get total utility? अगर आपको marginal दिया है और आपको total निकालना है, तो how will you find out total? If marginal is given to you and you have to find out total, so what will you do? Total is sum of marginal utility. So what is total? Total is 1. This is 10 total utility. Okay. 10 plus 8, 18. 18 plus 5, 23. 23 plus 2, 25. 25 plus 0, 25. 25 minus 2, 23. So how did you get total utility? By summing up marginal utility. You have to sum up the marginal utility, which gives you the total utility. Okay. So this is how. So आपको numerical आना चाहिए, आपको concept आना चाहिए. You should know both the things. How to calculate and what exactly is the relationship between total and marginal. As long as you see here, if I can erase this. Sorry. Okay, so what is the relationship between marginal and total? As long as marginal is decreasing, total will, as long as marginal is positive, and it may decrease, but still total will increase. Okay, you can see here total is increasing despite marginal is decreasing. Marginal क्या हो गया? 10 से 8 हो गया. Then 5 and 2. So marginal is continuously decreasing, but still total you can see is increasing from 10 to 18 to 23 to 25. So what is the relationship between marginal and total? As long as marginal is positive, total will increase. As long as marginal is positive, total will increase. When marginal is zero, when marginal utility is zero, then total utility will be maximum and constant. Okay, you can see here how much maximum total utility kahan pe hai? 4 and 5. That is 25. And it is same for 4th unit and 5th unit. That means it is constant. So when marginal utility is zero, total utility is maximum and constant. When marginal utility becomes negative, the moment marginal utility जब negative हो जाती है, then only total utility starts decreasing. उसके बाद ही total utility कम होगी. उसके पहले तक total utility will be increasing. So what is the learning from this table? Number 1, that marginal utility is change in total utility with an additional unit of good consumed. जब आप कुछ additional unit of good लेते हैं, consume करते हैं, उसकी वजह से जो आप add on करते हैं utility, that is known as marginal utility. And since this gives you additional utility, it gets added up in total. क्योंकि आप additional unit से जो utility मिलेगी, obviously अगर आप उसको add करेंगे तो वो total हो जाएगी. Okay, so that is marginal utility. Number 2, marginal utility when it is positive, despite decreasing. As long as marginal utility is positive, चाहे वो decrease हो रही हो, but positive है, number is positive. You can see 10, 8, 5, 2 are all positive. So as long as marginal utility is positive, that means it will increase totally. So total utility will increase as long as marginal utility is positive. When marginal utility is zero, that means additional unit of good is not adding any utility to you. उस case में total utility will be maximum and constant. That stage, total utility will be maximum and constant. When marginal utility, जब जैसे ही marginal utility negative हो गया, then total utility will start decreasing because total utility is the sum of marginal utility. So if you add 4 figures which are positive, total utility is what? Sum of marginal utility, no? So if I write here, figure is 2, first marginal utility, 4, 6, 8. सारी positive figures हैं. Or if I start from 8, 6, 4 and 2, सारी positive figures हैं. If I go for summing it up, adding it up, what will I get? I get total utility. But the moment इसके बाद अगर मेरा -2 है, then this will add, this will be deducted from this ना, ये जो इसका सम आएगा उसमें से तो ये कम करोगे आप. So that means as the moment the marginal utility becomes negative, total utility starts decreasing. Okay, so do remember this. So आपको calculation आना चाहिए, आपको relationship आना चाहिए. What is the relationship from the exam perspective? You should know the relationship between total and marginal. आपको total utility calculate करना आना चाहिए. You should also know how to calculate marginal utility. अगर दोनों में से एक दिया है तो you should know how to calculate the other one. Okay. So we have shared. What we have shared, total utility and marginal utility are interrelated because marginal utility से आपको total utility बनती है. Which each additional unit, what you get utility, when you add it up, you get total. So basically marginal से आपको total मिलता है. So total is a sum of marginal. Yes. And marginal is what? The difference between total utility. अभी हमने देखा what is marginal. Marginal is 10 minus 0 is 10. So what is this? This is TUN minus n minus 1. So we get marginal utility. You know how to calculate now marginal utility? I hope so. आप समझ गए ना कैसे कैलकुलेट करना है मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी या टोटल यूटिलिटी अगर आपको मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी दी हुई है. सो एट फर्स्ट यूनिट टोटल यूटिलिटी विल बी इक्वल टू मार्जिनल यूटिलिटी बिकॉज अभी तो आपने कुछ कंज्यूम किया नहीं. अब फर्स्ट यूनिट में तो उसके ओवर एंड अबव कोई एडिशनल है नहीं, सो आप डिडक्ट किससे करेंगे. इसीलिए फॉर फर्स्ट यूनिट TU will be equal to MU. Initially, when TU is increasing, when TU is increasing at decreasing rate, what do you mean by TU is increasing at decreasing rate? TU is increasing, total utility is increasing at decreasing rate. 10, 18, 23, 25. Differences here is 8. Here the difference is how much? 5. Here the difference is how much? 2. What is happening? This is increasing, this TU is increasing at decreasing rate. क्यों decreasing rate पे increase हो रहा है? यहाँ पे आप difference देखिए 8 है, फिर 5 है, फिर 2 है. TU is increasing from 10 to 25 but at a decreasing rate. Yes. So when TU is increasing at decreasing rate, MU is decreasing. आप देखिए MU is decreasing, no? MU is decreasing. That is why TU is increasing at decreasing rate. But remains positive. 8, 5, 2, all values are positive. Yes. So but remains positive. So initially what will be here? MU will be 10. So at first unit, this will be 10 only because TU will be equal to MU. When TU is increasing, so this I hope is clear. Basically, you understand कि marginal से ही आपको total मिलेगा with each additional unit. Okay. So Kaushal is asking for break. We'll take break after 5 minutes. Let me finish this. So when you, the next thing is about TU is maximum and constant. अभी आपने देखा इसमें, यहाँ पे क्या है 4 and 5 units में, 4 and 5 units. TU is maximum and constant. All throughout you see, only for 4 and 5 units, 25 is the maximum. और 4th and 5th units के लिए दोनों के लिए 25 है. That means it is maximum and constant. Okay. So TU is maximum and constant when MU is 0. Here MU is 0 and TU is maximum and constant. So when marginal utility becomes 0, then TU will be maximum and constant. Okay. When TU starts decreasing, when will TU decrease? When total utility has started decreasing, when MU became -2. When MU become -2, then only total utility started decreasing. So when MU is negative, then total utility starts decreasing. So this is the relationship between TU and MU. I hope you have understood from the table. So if you look at the table, आपकी book में दिया हुआ है study material. You can see again and establish the relationship yourself. बस table को देखिए और उससे relationship establish कीजिए. What is the relationship between TU and MU? Then you will never forget about it. Because एक बार आप समझ गए, then it will be very easy for you to answer any question. आपको कोई भी objective दे दिया इससे related. What will happen to MU when TU is increasing at decreasing rate? So you should be able to click immediately that MU is decreasing, but MU is decreasing, but positive. So ये हो सकता है एक option होगा आपके alternatives में. So, but until unless you know the concept, how will you click the correct one, isn't it? So it's very important to go for understanding concepts thoroughly. Because अगर आप concepts नहीं समझेंगे तो आप objectives कैसे करेंगे? Okay. So we'll take break for 5 minutes and then we'll go for satisfaction except uh, buying big cars, luxuries or what? Okay. Okay, so we'll meet after 5 minutes. Okay. So, okay, thanks. have shared, I've erased it, and now you can see clearly. I hope you can now calculate and see the relationship also, establish the relationship also. आप कर लेंगे, I hope so, because it's very important. नहीं समझ में आ रहा है तो एक बार practice कीजिए. Practice it, okay? So this is what we have shared, PU and MU relationship. Now, this is law of diminishing marginal utility. You people have studied in class 12, those who have studied economics. Those who have not studied economics, no need to worry. Nahi padha aapne, no issues. But we have already shared. What do you see? This is example of T given here. Okay, ek din mein, if in a day, today is what, 1st of October, and a person goes for having tea, okay, since morning. So first cup of tea, person has first cup of tea, and the total utility is 30. Okay, so matlab satisfaction is of worth 30 units. Okay, so 30 units is satisfaction. So marginal will also be 30. We have shared for the first unit, TU will be equal to MU. Condition 1. Number 2, you go for second unit. Second unit of T in a day, and then total utility increases to 50. Why so? Because marginal is positive. Yes, from 30 to 20, though it is decreasing. Decreased by how much? 10. But still it is positive. So it is positive, so it's adding up. Okay, so it is increasing. So total utility is increasing from 30 to 50. When further marginal utility decreases to 15, still total utility increases, and so on. We have shared this. What is law of diminishing marginal utility? Now you might be thinking that ये marginal utility कम क्यों हो रहा है? Why this marginal utility is continuously decreasing? When you are consuming more and more, from 1 to 9 to 10 and 11, you are consuming more and marginal utility is decreasing. This decrease in marginal utility is known as law of diminishing marginal utility. Why? This is one thing. Okay, why it is known as law of diminishing marginal utility? One, because marginal utility is decreasing. Number two, why is it decreasing? Why is it decreasing? बढ़ क्यों नहीं रहा? ये कम क्यों हो रहा है? Why is it decreasing? So it is decreasing, reason being, I'll give you a simple example. You may like any product. आपको कोई चीज बहुत बहुत अच्छी लगती है. So what will happen? हो सकता है कि initially when you have, suppose you like Cadbury's, you love to have Cadbury's. Okay, आपको Cadbury's बहुत पसंद है. So first bite of Cadbury you have. आपके पास एक like mega pack है Cadbury's का. Okay, so in this mega pack you have n number of Cadbury's, and today you are very happy and you want to have Cadbury's. और आपको अच्छी भी बहुत लगती है, you like it a lot. So then in that case you will have first bite of chocolate. Okay, so Cadbury's first bite of chocolate or the Cadbury's you are going to have, it will make you happy. It will make you happy, no? Wow, I'm enjoying because मेरे को अच्छी लगती है, इसलिए आप बहुत खुश हो. And then you start eating it. Second bite, third bite, fourth bite. हो सकता है fourth bite तक आपकी marginal utility बढ़ती जाए. After the fourth unit, what will happen after fourth unit? You will feel a little bit like sweet to the extent that बहुत मीठा हो गया. It's becoming very sweet. And if it becomes very sweet, then to have next bite of chocolate or Cadbury's will not be so, you won't be relishing it. आप उसको उतना enjoy नहीं करेंगे. क्यों? क्योंकि आपकी जो utility है, you remember we had shared want and its intensity. जैसे जैसे आपकी consumption बढ़ती जा रही है Cadbury's की, वैसे वैसे आपकी intensity of want will start decreasing, isn't it? उस चीज के लिए आपकी intensity कम होती जाएगी of want, and since it decreases, because you become satisfied more and more satisfied as you consume the good with each additional bite of Cadbury's, which will make you intensity of want will start decreasing. This decrease in the intensity of want is what? Marginal utility, more utility. So each additional unit, say, utility will start decreasing. And this is why it decreases, because the level of satisfaction starts decreasing. And it's not like that कि हमेशा initial state से marginality will start decreasing. From the very first unit, marginality will start decreasing. हो सकता है first unit's marginality increases and then it starts decrease. Okay, maybe possible. आपको chocolate इतनी पसंद है कि first bite of chocolate से you are not at all, you haven't feel yet कि आपने chocolate खाई भी है. इसीलिए जब आप second bite लेते हैं तब आपको पता चलता है wow, I had some chocolate. Yes, so maybe possible that for first 2 units marginality आपकी बढ़ सकती है. It may increase and then it will start decreasing. But for sure, at certain point of time, beyond a certain point of time, marginality will surely decrease because you become more satisfied, and that is why utility you derive will start decreasing. Yes, so and it happens because of the intensity of the want. किस हद तक आप उस प्रोडक्ट को पाना चाहते हैं, that is which starts decreasing, and that is why you derive less and less utility. So this is law of diminishing marginality. What is law of diminishing marginality? As you consume more and more units of good, after a certain point, with each additional unit of good consumed, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, which each additional unit of good consumed, marginal utility starts decreasing. This is known as law of diminishing marginality. What is diminishing? Decrease. What is decreasing? Marginal utility. Why is it decreasing? Because you are getting more and more satisfied. Once you get more satisfied, then in that case, intensity of want will decrease. And hence, utility from each additional unit will start decreasing. Okay, this is known as law of diminishing marginally. And that is the reason, you see, when first time mangoes, जब समर शुरू हुई और आम आ गए मार्केट में और आपको आम बहुत पसंद है, you enjoy eating mangoes. What happened? Only few fruit vendors were selling mangoes. कुछ ही fruit वाले थे जो sell कर रहे थे. And you wanted to have mangoes. What was the price you were paying? Very high. Because what was happening? You were deriving very high marginal utility because intensity of buying mangoes was very high, isn't it? Because you were deriving more utility. But जब market flooded हो गया mangoes से, when the market was flooded with mangoes, what happened? Every day you could have mangoes. हर दिन आप आम खाने लगे. And once you start eating every day, what happened? Your marginal utility start decreasing because we are eating daily, no? So marginal utility starts decreasing. So that is why when you have more and more quantity of the good with each additional unit, the utility derived from each additional unit keeps on decreasing. And this happens because the satisfaction you derive from each additional unit is less and less as you consume more and more. Okay, so this is law of diminishing marginal utility. Now, what are the assumptions? There are some assumptions for marginal utility, law of diminishing marginal utility. First is that the different units consumed. Chocolate bite, for every chocolate bite which you're having should be identical. ऐसा नहीं है कि एक आपने डेयरी मिल्क ले ली, एक आपने दूसरी चॉकलेट ले ली. So you have to have different units consumed of the identical in all respect. If you are having, you cannot have different varieties of mango. You have to have same quality of mangoes. Okay, then only the satisfaction will decrease. No, otherwise, if you have one Alfonso and others you have other kind of mango, how can you compare to? You cannot compare to. No, so you have to have. If you are having Cadbury's and it is dairy milk Cadbury's, then you'll have same pack, and from that pack you are having different bites. उस पैक में से आप छोटे छोटे bites chocolate के खा रहे हैं और Cadbury's के लिए. So it should be different units consumed should be identical in all respects, and the habit, taste and treatment. आपका liking Cadbury's के लिए change नहीं होना चाहिए. Habit, taste and income of the consumer also remains same. unchanged. All these factors are very, very important to establish the law of diminishing marginal utility. Agar isme koi bhi variation hua, if there is any variation, then this will not hold true. Okay, so assumptions are very important. What we are assuming is that you are having same categories. From that category, you are having different bites, and you like Cadbury's. Your taste is, you prefer to have Cadbury's than any other thing, and you are not spent. Your income is not increasing, so that you can buy a better quality or whatever it is. So all these factors remaining unchanged, then only this law of diminishing marginal utility will be applicable. Number one. Number two, the different units consumed should consist of standard units. ऐसा नहीं है कि एक बार आपने बड़ी बाइट ले ली, एक बार आपने छोटी बाइट ले ली. Okay, so when you are having Cadbury bites, so you'll take the same cubes. You know, in Cadbury's cubicles, cubes में divided होता है. So you will have one cube. If you're having one cube, in the second case, if you're having two cube, then this is not correct. So you have to have same unit. Okay, same unit all throughout. If you're having one mango, so you're having one mango all throughout. Same standard units. Okay, if a thirsty man is given water by successive spoonful, so we have shared that एक बंदा डेजर्ट में है और उसको पानी चाहिए, then in that case, if you are offering a glass of water, so it should be a same glass of water which should be offered. ऐसा नहीं है एक बार आपने छोटे ग्लास में पानी दे दिया, एक बार आपने बड़े ग्लास में दे दिया. Okay, so that is very, very important. So there has to be standard unit. You cannot change. You cannot change as per your convenience. So this is very, very important. Okay, so this is second assumption. Third is that there should not be time gap. So the person who is standing in the desert, who is thirsty, and it is about today, 1st October, and then 2nd October. Things will change. Things will change, and accordingly, this law will not hold true, because next day also, the utility derived from the first glass of water will be very high because it's very hot over there. दूसरे दिन भी तो उतनी गर्मी होगी और first glass of water से उसको उतनी ज़्यादा utility मिलेगी. So this will not hold true. So there should not be any time gap, okay, or interval between the consumption of one unit and the second. आपने एक बाइट खाई चॉकलेट की, फिर उसके बाद दूसरी खा ली immediately, फिर तीसरी खा ली, फिर चौथी खा ली. Then only this law will be applicable, law of diminishing marginality. If you have successive units of Cadbury's without a time gap leading to continuous consumption, then only this law will be true. Otherwise, this law will not be true. Okay. The law may not apply to articles like gold, cash. So you will say that diminishing marginal utility, ma'am, jitna zyada paisa hai, utni marginal utility hai, then, so then you will not, then in that case, marginal utility is not applicable, because cash, more and more money gives you more and more options to buy products, isn't it? So in that case, the marginal utility, diminishing marginal utility will not be applicable. More and more money you have, more and more utility you derive from each additional rupee you get. So rather it works in a reverse manner. Some people, those who have derived utility for gold, the more and more quantity of gold you have, more and more assets you create, more assets you create, more wealthy you become. So in that case, it is increasing, no? Marginality is increasing. Agar gold ke liye, so somebody who is greedy, who has lust for money, somebody who wants to have money, like a mad person who want to earn money, what will happen in that case? Every increment in the salary or every surplus money which you have as a businessman will make you more and more happy. So then in that case, the principle of law of diminishing marginality will not be applicable for this. Okay. So there are certain exceptions jahan pe law of marginality applicable nahi hoga. Okay. So that you have to see. The shape of utility. Somebody, this is a defining factor. Lust, greed, lalach, or something. Then in that case, this will not lead to decrease in marginality. Okay. The shape of the utility curve may be affected by the presence of absence of the articles, substitutes or complements. If you have substitutes, close substitute, then the utility curve will vary. Abhi humne share kiya that marginality is decreasing, but the shape of the marginal decrease in the marginality curve will be curve or a straight line, whatever it is, it will be based on उसके कितने substitutes है market में, Cadbury's के कितने substitutes है market. Okay, there's only one supplier of water in the desert, or there are many more suppliers in the desert. Okay, is there possibility that a person can get water and cool drink or something which chilled something? There are options for substitutes, or a person wants to have only nibu pani, that means complementary factor is lemonade, that means it's complementary with lemon juice plus water, nibu pani. So you do have lemon plus water. So complementary hai, substitute hai, accordingly the shape of the curve will vary. Okay. So next very important concept which we are going to share is consumer surplus. Consumer surplus is very, very important concept. Professor Alfred Marshall, is a famous economist. He gave the concept of consumer surplus. He gave a very interesting concept. What is the concept is about? This is a concept. Consumer surplus is what a consumer is ready to pay and what he actually pays. If you look at this table here, you will understand very clear. Okay, how Marshall defined consumer surplus? It is the excess of the price consumer would be willing to pay. जो आप देना चाहते हैं price, rather than go without it, without a thing. उसको forgo नहीं कर सकते आप, उसके लिए आप जो price देना चाहते, that is that which and what you actually pay is the difference of these two is consumer surplus. This will become more easy for you to understand from this statement. Now this you know is diminishing marginality, 30, 28, 26. अगर मैं आपको इससे कहूँ कि total utility calculate करो, so you will be able to calculate total utility here. Okay, so you can calculate total also. So this is marginal utility in this case is decreasing. Now this the utility is 30 utility. Worth rupees 30 you are getting utility, but the price you are paying is 20 rupees. You are paying less, no? You are ready to pay 30 rupees because you believe that this can be worth. So Cadbury's, you believe that it is worth 30 rupees. But they are giving you that packet for 20 rupees. So what will happen? You will be happy, no? Very happy that I'm getting utility worth rupees 30. I'm paying price 20 rupees. What is your net gain? Net gain is 30 minus 20 is 10. This is your consumer surplus. You were ready to pay how much? You were ready to pay 30 rupees. But actually how much you paid? You paid 20 rupees. 30 minus 20 is your consumer surplus. Okay. So when you can, then when you go for second unit, you are ready to pay for the second unit 28 rupees. But you actually pay because the price is not going to change, no? So price will remain same. So price is same, but your marginal utility is decreasing. So now you want to go for second unit, you get marginal utility equal to 20. आपको पता है ये कम क्यों हुई? We have shared that. Okay, since the marginal utility is 28, that means you for the second unit, second bite of Cadbury, you are ready to pay, or the second pack of Cadbury, you are ready to pay 28 rupees. So if you are ready to pay 28 rupees, but आपको मिल रही है for 20 rupees, so what is your gain? Consumer surplus is 8. 28 minus 20 is 8. So consumer surplus is 8. When you go for next, 26 minus 20 is again gain. So this is consumer surplus. 24 minus 20 is again gain of 4, consumer surplus. आप कितना देना चाहते हैं? You are ready to pay 24, but actually you are paying is 20. The gap of this is 4 rupees. So 4 rupees is your consumer surplus. When it is 22, you are ready to pay and you are actually paying 20 is 2 rupees is your consumer surplus. When you go for sixth unit, what happens when you go for sixth unit? Price you pay is 20 rupees and utility you get is 20 rupees. आपका consumer surplus क्या हो गया? 0. That means you are ready to pay 20 rupees and you are paying, you believe that this chocolate is for 20 rupees and you are paying 20 rupees. That means consumer surplus is 0. इसके बाद 7th unit में क्या होगा? What will be in 7th unit? What will happen in the 7th unit? In the 7th unit, utility is, you believe the 7th unit of Cadbury should be priced at 18 rupees. but आपको कितने की मिल रही है? You're getting at 20 rupees. That means you feel that it is 2 rupees expensive, isn't it? You believe it is 2 rupees expensive. So आप लेंगे, you will not take it. Will you take it? Because आपको लगता है 2 rupees expensive है. It should be ideally of 18 rupees, but I'm getting at 20 rupees. So that means it is 2 rupees expensive. You will not buy. So what Alfred Marshall said about that, the price, excess of the price, what a consumer willing to pay rather than foregoing the product. आपको अगर Cadbury's अच्छी लगती है, if you like Cadbury's, if you love Cadbury's, then in that case, you will for sure buy, because as long as marginal utility of Cadbury's is greater than the price of Cadbury's. How long you'll buy? How long you'll buy? You will buy till marginal utility of Cadbury is equal to price of Cadbury's. Where is it? At 6 units. 20 rupees is marginal utility and price is 20 rupees. That means how long you'll buy this Cadbury's, you'll buy till the consumer surplus becomes 0. Okay, so this is a condition where you will be at equilibrium, that yes, as long as marginal utility of Cadbury is greater than the price of Cadbury's, what will happen? Your quantity demanded will increase. How long you will consume? You will consume till marginal utility of Cadbury's is equal to price of Cadbury's. If marginal utility of Cadbury's is less than the price of Cadbury's, what will happen? Will you demand? You will not buy. And what will be the consumer surplus here? This will be negative. What will be consumer surplus here? Here it will be positive. What will be here? It will be 0. So these are 3 conditions with respect to marginal utility and consumer marginal utility and price, the good and consumer surplus. Okay. Demand and utility have mostly same type of assumptions and limit. Absolutely, because utility is demand, no? Utility is demand, Chaitanya. So basically the concepts, assumptions will be same only. Okay, now, so consumer surplus is very, very important concept for firms to decide about how should they strategize. So if you look at this, in this case, what do you see here? This is, what is the, this demand curve depicts about. This is the demand curve. This is the marginal utility. As you consume more and more, marginal utility is decreasing. And that is why you're ready to pay less and less. You have seen in the last one, for 6 units, how much you pay? You're ready to pay 20 rupees. For 5 units, how much you're ready to pay? 22 rupees. For 4 units, how much you're ready to pay? 24 rupees. For 3 units, you're ready to pay 26 rupees. So lesser the quantity, higher the price you pay, because more is the utility you derive, marginal utility you derive. So if you look at this here, what do you see here? At each point of this curve, this demand curve, what's happening in this case? If suppose this is the price, let's say this price is last case. I'm sorry, this is 4th unit. This is 4th unit of the good. And for the 4th unit of the good, price is 20 rupees. Okay, price is 20 rupees. You were ready to pay 25. Okay, you were ready to pay 24. You were ready to pay 24, but actually you are paying is 20 rupees. This is what? You are ready to pay 24. So this is all consumer surplus. It's a consumer surplus because the price you are paying is less than what you were ready to pay. So consumer surplus. Okay, but if the price is rupees 20 and the marginal utility of yours is also 20. So this will be the equilibrium position. So here the consumer will be buying the good at 20 rupees because the price is also 20 rupees and marginal utility is 20 rupees. So this curve, this demand curve depicts what? Diminishing law of diminishing marginal utility. As you consume more and more units of good, you get less and less marginal utility, and that is why you are ready to pay less and less price, or the less price. As you have less quantity of the good, marginal utility will increase and the price you pay will be higher. That is why on upper side of this demand curve, so if I say this is point B, this is point A. So at point A, you will be paying more price because you have less quantity of the good. And what will be the marginal utility? At point A, marginal utility will be greater than at point B. Yes, at point B, marginal utility will be less than at point A. And since marginal utility is less, that's why you are ready to pay low price. Okay, so relationship between marginal utility and price of the good is clear. If marginal utility is greater than the price, then consumer will buy more. Basically, marginal utility is equal to price. Yes, what you derive, you are ready to pay price for that. That much price only. And if marginal utility will decrease, price you will pay will be less. If marginal utility is maximum, you will be getting, you're paying the price according to that. So marginal in this demand curve at each point, marginal utility will be equal to price. Okay, so marginal utility is equal to price of the good. Now suppose if in this case consumer surplus, what is the consumer surplus? If price is quoted here, let's say the price quoted here is 40 rupees and this is 60 rupees. A point is 60 rupees, P is 40 rupees, this is P1 is 30 rupees, and this quantity here is, let's say, 100 units, or rather 50, and this is 100. Okay, so this is 50 units and this is 100 units demand, and the price of the product quoted is, let's say, 40 rupees. Okay, if the price is quoted 40 rupees, how much you are ready to pay? You are ready to pay 60 rupees. What's the consumer surplus? Consumer surplus is this. That is this triangle. This triangle is consumer surplus. You were ready to pay 60 rupees, but you are paying 40 rupees. So this is a consumer surplus. So this triangle A, P, E is consumer surplus. Okay, now what happens? Because the price you pay is 40 rupees and you're ready to pay maybe 59, maybe 58. So that means the gap of this is consumer surplus. Okay, now suppose company says that we'll charge 30 rupees rather than charging 40 rupees. They are decreasing the price by 10 rupees further. You were ready to pay how much? You were ready to pay how much? 60 rupees. But you are paying how much now? 30 rupees. What will happen to consumer surplus? This will also become part of the consumer surplus for those who could buy at 40 rupees. There will be this. So B is consumer surplus. Add on in the consumer surplus because the price decrease. That is the reason when companies offer discount, what happens? आपको लगता है इसका price होगा 1500. And when company says that we are offering you at 1000 rupees, you will definitely buy because you believe that the price is 1500 and I'm getting it at 1000 rupees. So 5 rupees is your consumer surplus. So that makes you to buy. The company, when they go for discounts, when they decrease the price, consumer surplus will increase. That is why the consumer surplus in this case. So what is the what is the additional consumer surplus? This P1, P, E, and C is the new, or is the additional of the consumer surplus. This addition to the consumer surplus. Yes. So the consumer surplus additional amount is this one. P1, P and EC, this one. This becomes consumer surplus for the existing consumers. But what happened here? You see here, the demand has increased from 50 to 100. So there will be additional consumers who will be joining here. These are the existing ones. What about this triangle if we name it as N? So this triangle here. What about this triangle? E, N, and F. Triangle E, N, F is what? This is the consumer surplus for the additional consumers. Why so? Because these consumers who could not afford to buy at 40 rupees, now they will join. So these additional consumers will also join. So these are additional consumers who have joined because of the decrease in the price. So companies can work on, firms can work on deciding that how should we go for fixing our price? कैसे हम अपनी प्राइस को डिसाइड करें जिससे कंज्यूमर्स की डिमांड बढ़े, so that consumers demand should increase, and that's the role of consumer surplus, which plays important role in pricing of the goods. Okay. So this is, see, MU कहाँ है? इसमें MU है तभी तो डिमांड है. What is MU? We have shared marginal utility creates demand. Yes, if utility is not there, then demand won't be there. This demand curve has, इसमें एक marginal utility है तभी तो ये demand है. So you will not get marginal utility different from demand. Marginal utility leads to demand. अगर marginal utility नहीं है, अगर आपको utility नहीं मिल रही है, तो demand कैसे होगी? It won't be demand, no? That is how we have decided and discussed right from the beginning. Economics में हमेशा आप utility is the basic factor which leads to demand. And this demand has some price. Yes, then only it is demand. This demand is a function of price of the good, isn't it? We have shared demand is a function of, we had shared in first two classes, if you can recap. Okay, so consumer surplus के benefits क्या है? What are the benefits of consumer surplus for a firm? What kind of benefits a firm can enjoy as a consumer surplus? Applications. Companies कैसे use करती हैं consumer surplus के concept? So it is a measure of welfare. If government has to fix up, that is why government, what they do, they have subsidized solar panel. Solar panel, why they have subsidized? Because people will have more solar panel and they will have more green, and this will help them to be more safeguard. Government goes for offering medicines. Essential medicines are offered at discount because they are looking for welfare. So government offers at a low price, which leads to welfare of the people, that people gain from consuming goods and services. Education. You see, education in government schools, fee is very less. But if you go in private schools, people have to pay a whole lot of money, isn't it? So this is consumer surplus. Why so? Because government wants to promote education, welfare. Okay, so people should gain by using government school services. Okay, so it's very important in business also. So firms, why is it important for business firm? It reflects consumer surplus, reflects that your customers are getting, adding more customers to your business, and consumers will buy more quantity of the good because उनको पता चल रहा है, they know about that. See, simple rule. If I say that I'm ready to pay 50 rupees for 1 unit of the good, and you are offering me at 30 rupees 1 unit of the good, may be possible that rather than buying 1 unit of the good, I'll buy 2 units of the good. So this going to generate more sales for the company, no? Because I'm generating consumer surplus, and I'm getting consumer surplus because company has gone for discounts. So this is the benefit. So you will purchase again. You may purchase again because you are enjoying consumer surplus. So sales of the company may increase because of the consumer surplus factor. Understanding the nature and extent of surplus can help business managers make better decisions. What should be the price we should go for? My consumers are looking for price. जैसे आपने देखा बाटा में they always quote price like 999. Or if you have seen this Zodio products are not more than 1,000 rupees. So this they have done it. Why they have done it? Because the pricing of Zodio's products quoted at less than 1,000 rupees is that people will go over there. They'll see dresses at other places. They'll see that in other places, those dresses which they are finding in Zodio, other places it is quoting at 1,500 rupees. So when you go to Zodios, अगर आपको बाकी जगह पे वो ड्रेस 1,500 की मिल रही है और आपको वो Zodio पे 1,000 की मिल रही है, definitely you're getting consumer surplus of 500 rupees. Since you're getting 500 rupees consumer surplus, this will help Zodios to increase its sales. So Zodio has decided to keep price 1,000 rupees. One, because जो लोग expensive dresses नहीं ले सकते, those who cannot buy expensive dresses, they will also be able to buy. So aspirations can be fulfilled. बहुत लोगों की demand fulfill की जा सकती है by going for catering such products. Okay, so this is how. So the nature and extent of surplus can help business firms and managers to fix up the price. What price to be quoted, so that consumers can get consumer surplus and they'll buy the good. Okay, so demand in the market segmentation, where people can go for buying. Some people can go for paying heavy price, high price. So हो सकता है कुछ लोग, some products, the same dress, they are ready to pay 2,000 rupees because they feel that it's worth 2,000 rupees. So those people who can buy 2,000 rupees in that market, that dress will be supplied at or will be priced at 2,000 rupees. So it helps in market segmentation also. Divide the market. In which market you can sell at high price. आपने देखा those local vendors, what do they do? Somebody who's made some handicraft items. So they are sitting since morning till evening. So when they sit in the morning, सुबह सुबह कौन जाता है so such products to buy? Somebody who wants to have at a low price, isn't it? Because morning में वो जो local vendor है वो आपको थोड़ा सस्ता दे देगा. I'm sorry. As the day goes on, then in that case the market is opening and people start coming. Any number of people will start coming. What will happen? More people will come, more people will buy, and then that player can go for charging high price. So market segmentation at that time, Saturday evening, if you're buying something, that will be more expensive than Monday morning. Because Monday working है और बहुत ही कम लोग आएंगे. So उस case में consumer surplus will be high, and when we'll go for buying in Saturday evening, then the consumer surplus will be less because many people will buy on Saturday evening, no? Because they go and eat outside and they'll buy something or other. So this is how price discrimination is practiced. Price discrimination in market A, in market A, I'll quote high price because यहाँ पे सब high income group people or middle income group people they come. But in other market B, I'll quote low price because in this market, lower income people or middle income group people only come. So you can decide about price discrimination because based on that, consumer surplus can be decided. Price will help you decide that. Large scale investment decisions. So in large scale, how much is the cost we are going for? What is the price we will be quoting? What revenue will be generating? Here the consumer surplus play very important role. Suppose a company incurs 10 lakh rupees cost and they produce something which they cannot quote at high price. They cannot quote at high price. What will happen? This cost will not be, they will not be able to overcome their cost. अगर किसी कंपनी ने 10 लाख रुपए खर्च किए, investments किए, and they are looking for कि हम जो market में product लाएंगे, that will be selling at, let's say, 10,000 rupees का. But nobody is ready to buy 10,000 rupees. Then in that, because consumers are not finding it worth buying at 10,000 rupees, because they are not deriving marginal utility worth 10,000 rupees. If you go for incurring cost of 10 lakh rupees and you're not able to generate enough revenue, what will happen? आप sales नहीं कर पा रहे, revenue generate नहीं कर पाएंगे, तो what will happen? You will be running in loss, and you will run in loss. So then in that case, the project will be non-viable. जो project है आपका, वो feasible ही नहीं होगा उस case में. So how will you become sustainable in that case? Isn't it? So this is very important. So project viability depends on what kind of pricing you go for, what kind of cost you should incur, how much consumer surplus people will be deriving, and other factors. Knowledge of consumer surplus is also important that the firms have to go for product pricing. Customers who enjoyed small amount of surplus may no longer be willing to buy at high price. If you are offering something, and suppose I say that when you buy, just say example of this D-Mart. D-Mart offered what? You buy in bulk and will give you 50% discount. Once you make this habit of your consumers, they enjoy consumer surplus, then you cannot say that you have to buy, if you will buy, if you will buy only 2 units, I'll give you 50% discount. Then you can't go for this because people will become so habitual with this. जिनको आपने एक बार बोल दिया, those customers whom you have told that if you buy in bulk, we'll give you 50% discount. आप उनको 2 units तो नहीं sell कर सकते 50%. This will be loss for you. You can sell only bulk, but you can't sell 2 units. So if you decrease the quantity, then people will not buy. So if you start selling 2 units of the good, people will not buy only because they become used to it. So it's very, very difficult to increase price once you have offered discount in bulk. So एक बार आपने bulk में offer कर दिया, then it becomes very difficult to opt for that. Okay. Consumer surplus act as guide to finance ministry also. For example, cigarettes. For example, GST. GST, when it is fixed, GST, what happens in the case of GST? So when you go for fixing GST, आपने देखा GST में merit goods है और demerit goods है. GST, goods and services tax, it has been fixed higher, 28%, 18% respectively. So cigarettes है, for example, cigarettes है, alcohol है, resorts है. These things, उन पे tax ज़्यादा होता है. Government imposes higher tax. Why so? Because you derive higher consumer surplus. You are ready to pay very high price because that gives you immense happiness. So you derive high. So that's why they fix up higher price. So finance ministry को कहाँ पे tax increase करना है, कहाँ पे subsidies offer करनी है, that is also dependent on consumer surplus. Where this consumer surplus is higher, they go for fixing higher taxes. Where consumer surplus is less, they will go for fixing lower tax rate. So this helps finance ministry also to decide about the tax rate kya fix up hoga. Higher consumer surplus will be more tax liability. So people, those who enjoy travel, they have to pay more tax. People, those who go for branded products, they have to pay higher taxes. People, those who buy necessity goods, they pay low taxes because these are the goods which derives less consumer surplus. Isn't it? What are the limitations of consumer surplus? So consumer surplus, what are the limitations of consumer? We have shared what is consumer surplus, what happens because of the decrease in the price of the good. Consumer surplus is not only can get increased for the existing set of consumers, but it also adds new consumers. We have also shared that consumer surplus helps companies to decide their price. It helps companies to know about their customers. It helps them in market segmentation also. It helps finance ministry also decide कि किस पे टैक्स लगाना है, किस पे टैक्स नहीं लगाना है, किस पे टैक्स कितना ज्यादा लगाना है, किस पे टैक्स कितना कम लगाना है. So taxation also is decided by helps because of the consumer surplus concept. Okay, what are the limitations of consumer surplus? So limitations are it's very difficult to measure precise, isn't it? Marginal utilities is relative. It's relative, no? You assign preference. You give preference based on other products and other parameters. So this is very difficult to measure. So marginality you cannot measure, and since you cannot measure marginality exactly, precisely, and for different units, for different consumers at different point of time. That is why consumer surplus is sometimes difficult to measure. It's very difficult to measure. In case of necessities, what happens in the case of necessities? Marginal utility of will be infinite. No, if initial units, somebody who's hungry wants to have food, what would be marginal utility in that case? Infinitely large, very, 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 very high. Who didn't get food for 5 days, 3 days, starving, that person will derive marginal utility at very high level, infinitely large, isn't it? In such cases, consumer surplus can be infinite. Consumer surplus can be infinite. Somebody offering you food when you are very hungry, somebody offering you at any price will be obviously less because you wanted to have food. So necessity goods, we have seen during COVID, oxygen cylinders. कोविड में ऑक्सीजन सिलेंडर्स के लिए लोगों ने बहुत पैसा दिया. Why? Because it was a matter of life and death. So consumer surplus was very high. इसीलिए बहुत सारे लोगों ने इसको exploit भी किया. Many people exploited the situation by charging very high price because marginality was infinitely large. Okay, then the consumer surplus derived from commodities affected by substitutes. अगर substitutes होंगे market में, so what will happen? Consumer surplus will decrease. Yes, because you can easily switch over from one to the other. No, so more the number of substitutes, lower is the consumer surplus you derive. There's no simple rule for deriving the utility of scalar particles. Diamonds, precious products. You cannot say that utility for these products can be compared with utility of basic necessity goods. आप diamonds और rice, wheat, vegetables को compare नहीं कर सकते utility के नाम से in the same parameter. Consumer surplus. Different segments have different consumer surplus, so it becomes very difficult to have utility scale. Define utility scale. It becomes very difficult. Consumer surplus cannot be measured in terms of money. You cannot measure in terms of money because the marginality of money changes as purchase are made. Just say you buy goods and services, वैसे वैसे आपका utility change होता है. As you buy goods, your utility changes, and as utility changes, your consumer surplus also gets changed, isn't it? Higher the utility, higher the consumer surplus. Lower the marginality, lower the consumer surplus. So Marshall had assumed that the marginality of money remains constant. So if you assume that marginality of money remains constant, but it is not possible. You see that marginality of money may change. अब inflation बढ़ गया, price level बढ़ गया, marginality of money will increase or will decrease. So it will have impact, isn't it? So marginality of money of rupee, as per Alfred Marshall, remains constant. तभी तो हमने कहा कि 30 utils, 31 unit, you get marginality worth, you get utility marginality 30, that is worth rupees 30, isn't it? So but in real world it's not possible. It's not possible that 1 rupee worth will be 1 rupee only. It will change over the period of time. So marginality आप कैसे कहेंगे कि it is equal to 30 only? What is 30 today? Maybe 20 tomorrow. So that is the problem. Okay, so marginality of money as per Alfred Marshall was defined as constant, but it is not actually possible. The concept can be accepted only if it assumes that utility can be measured in terms of money or otherwise. You can measure it through money or you can measure it through any other means. Then we can say that utility is marginal utility can be measured through rupee. What are decisive limits of economic development and problems of profiting? In problem of profiting, are we sharing in this? What are the decisive limit of economic development? This is not part of consumer behavior at this point of time, Chaitanya. I'll take it later. Okay, I'll take it later when we will be discussing that, because otherwise you will get confused. So at this point of time, this is not relevant with what we are sharing. Okay, so the concept here, I hope this is clear to all of you, that what is utility and what is marginality, what is totality, what is consumer behavior, what is nature of want, how nature of want is so important, and why is it so important, and why the demand curve is downward sloping, what is law of diminishing marginality, why law of diminishing marginality is important for companies and firms to understand, how it helps, the consumer surplus helps not only in deciding pricing of the product, it helps for the welfare activities also. It also helps for market segmentation. It helps firms to decide about discounts to be offered. So consumer surplus, but what is the challenge we have in measuring marginality? Challenge of measuring marginality is we measure in terms of price or money. And money, as per Alfred Marshall, has marginality remains constant. 1 rupee will be value will be equal to 1 rupee all throughout. That's what he said. Constant. But how is it possible? How is it possible? Can 100 rupees today, can you say 100 rupees today is equal to 100 rupees in 2014, in 2018? अगर आज आप मार्केट में जाते हैं 100 रुपीज लेके, क्या आप उतनी चीजें ले पाएंगे 100 रुपीज से जितनी आप 2 साल पहले ले सकते थे? Or what you can buy today of with 100 rupees, will you be able to buy same after 5 years? No, you cannot. So in that case, it is very unrealistic to say that marginality of money remains constant. Now, the entire law of diminishing marginality is based on this principle, this assumption only. So हमने कुछ assumptions share किए हैं जिसके basis पे ही आप कह सकते हैं. What are the basic assumptions we have followed for marginality, law of diminishing marginality? These are limitations, but we have taken some assumptions also. What are the assumptions? अगर आप कैडबरी खा रहे हैं तो एक ही ब्रांड की एक ही फ्लेवर की कैडबरी आपकी हुई. And if you are having a small bite of 1 unit of Cadbury's, then you have to have 1 unit of Cadbury successively. हर बार आप 1 यूनिट कैडबरीज की खाएंगे. अगर आप, if you're talking about a person standing in desert, a thirsty person will be offered glass of water, the same size of glass of water, same volume. उसकी volume same होनी चाहिए, उसकी glass का size same होना चाहिए. And it should be during the same day. So consumption should be continuous. If it is not continuous, if it is not of the same unit, if it is not standardized, then in that case, we cannot say that law of diminishing marginality will be applicable. So I hope you have understood the basic concepts. Acha, limitations once again. Okay, Suhasan is saying limitations. What are limitations? Limitations of consumer surplus. What are हमने benefits देखे? What are the limitations? Limitations are consumer surplus cannot be measured precisely because the marginal utility of different units of commodity consumed by person will be different. We have shared when you go for 1 unit, first unit of the good, marginal utility you say is rupees 30. Now, what is 30 for me? For me, suppose I'm A. For B, it may be 20. Isn't it? But I cannot change price of Cadbury's, or the Cadbury company cannot change price for me as a consumer and for you as a consumer. They have to keep the price same, no? So it sometimes becomes very difficult to analyze that what is consumer surplus, consumers are caring. And on the basis of that, now in this case, what you have to do, how Cadbury can decide about the pricing based on the consumer surplus, they have to see if they are catering in market A, in this market A, there are 40 consumers of Cadbury's. Out of these 40 consumers, at least 30 should derive this at least same level of consumer surplus. Then only we can work on fixing the price, isn't it? If out of 40, 5 will say something else, 5 will go for something else, 5 will go for something else. Then how Cadbury will fix up the price here for the variant set of people, different perception, different consumer surplus? It's not difficult to, isn't it? So it becomes very, very difficult because the marginal utility is different for different units are different. Now for first unit, you may derive 30. All 40 people will derive 30. But for the second unit, someone will derive 20, someone will derive 15. Then how will you take care of that? So it's very difficult. It's very difficult because utility is something, marginality is something very complex, relative. We have shared it is relative, it is subjective, isn't it? In the case of necessities, what happens in the case of necessities? Marginal utility for initial unit will be very, very high, very high. So I've told you the one who didn't have food for last 5 days, then the consumer surplus will be infinitely large. Infinite will be always infinite. But for next units, how will you go for fixing the price? If it is for the necessary goods, marginal utility and consumer surplus is infinite, but can you fix high price for them? अभी हमने शेयर किया, higher the consumer surplus, higher is the price. But necessary goods में आप कर सकते हो ऐसा? You cannot do this, no? For water is something very essential, necessity. You derive very high level of marginal utility. Consumer surplus भी बहुत high. But can you fix up the high price for water? You cannot, because it is necessity. So ye challenge, these are the challenges you have to see that how to go for fixing up. Okay, agar substitutes honge, if there are substitutes in the market, then the consumer surplus will decrease. And we have shared companies look for decreasing the price to give consumer surplus benefit to the consumers and can increase the number of consumers. But इस केस में जब substitutes है market में, तब आप additional consumers create नहीं कर पाओगे. You will not be able to create additional consumers. So this problem is there. Okay. So these are some challenges which you have in the case of limitations. So I'll wind up for this class today, and I'll upload these notes for you and some MCQ questions also. Okay. So that's it for today's class. Keep reading and please go through your study material. That's very, very important for all the concepts. Okay, see you then on Thursday. Okay, sir, so we can wind up the day. Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you.